What's up, y'all? And welcome to another episode of Diary of a Divine Black Girl. Happy Friday. We made it through another week. Y'all, this week has been so all over the place. It's been long and short. It's been heavy and thin. It's been here and there. I don't even know where I am right now. Yesterday was Monday. Tomorrow is Wednesday, and today is Thursday. Like, y'all, I don't I don't know what's happening. Like, these days are happening so fast and so quick, but they also can feel so long. Like, y'all, I don't know. We in a simulation. Like, I don't know. But nonetheless, I'm here doing my due diligence and creating a masterpiece for y'all. So, regardless, the job is going to get done, okay? This will be another random reflections episode only because, like, I really have been thinking about so much shit lately, and I really just want to get y'all opinion on it. I want to know if y'all are in the same wavelength. I want to know if, like, these ideologies of mine are just too far-fetched. If it's one of those, y'all ever seen those memes that be like hits blunt and then you just say some off the wall shit and somebody be like, yeah, you definitely high? If it's getting one of those. I'm sober though, unfortunately, and I have been, unfortunately. So this is just straight off the dome. This is just straight the things that I have been just randomly reflecting about. So I don't really have too much to say for this intro. Turn them notifications on, comment and engage, follow my IG, Diary of a Divine Black Girl podcast, and just sit back and relax and listen to me. Yeah. Okay, so this is something that I've been thinking about for the past day or two. I also spoke to my therapist about it, but we didn't really go into it. So, you know how there's a saying that's like, when your frontal lobe develops, you're gonna see. And that's just been something that I've been thinking about lately, because when people say when your frontal lobe develops, oh, you gonna see, it's typically to, like, degrade somebody or belittle somebody or patronize somebody, or just kind of like counteract the fact of somebody being like happy or positive or optimistic. It's basically kind of like, it's basically pissing in somebody's cereal, for lack of better words, because it just kind of takes the joy out of things. It kind of sucks the life. The saying basically means that you're going to see how fucked up this world is. You're going to see how cold this world is. You're going to see how this world operates. You're going to see how mean everybody is, and etc. Like, it's just a saying that just exposes how fucked up the world is. But my random thought has been, if this world wasn't as corrupt as it is, if we were living a life that I just feel like we were supposed to be living, that wasn't invaded, that wasn't stolen, that wasn't corrupt, that wasn't, dominated by greed and corruption and these elitists and all these other things, would that saying still be accurate? Like, I feel like the obvious answer is no, but just to, like, dig deeper into it a little bit. If the world was a better place, if we were all just living and helping each other with resources, building each other, acting in a state of love, always operating in a frequency of love and happiness and kindness, then we didn't have to think about money at all, because it wasn't even a real thing, or it's not even a real thing. And us just being on this earth, being on this planet, and falling in love with Mother Nature, and just being able to experience all of the amazing things that she has to offer, and seeing how everything that we need to survive is just right here below our feet. if we were living in that type of world, would that type of saying even exist anymore? A lot of people also just like to use that saying as a way to just basically be like, you're still young, because evidence shows that your frontal lobe is mostly developed 25, and it's like fully developed like 25 and up. And so that saying is derogative. That saying is just anything to belittle you, which is ironic because your frontal lobe developing is supposed to be you being more intelligent, being more adaptable, seeing things in a clearer sense. Yet anytime somebody uses it, it's derogatory, or it's to patronize someone, or it's to belittle someone. And I just think about when we say that, what it means in depth. And I'll elaborate. When I think of somebody saying, oh, when your frontal lobe develops, you'll get it, or when your frontal lobe develops, like, you'll understand, I really feel like that term was created as a defense mechanism for humans. I feel like it's a way to sort of cope with the adjustment of us having to live beside all this corruption and all this evil that surrounds the world. I think that it allows us to kind of create some sort of justification that isn't needed. I think that we use that term to sort of allow ourselves to cope and to allow ourselves to kind of accept the cruelty of what's happening in our world. Like, in the last episode 5, and if you haven't listened to that episode, please listen to that episode. It's the cream episode, Cash Rules Everything Around Me. In that episode, I basically spoke about, corruption, injustices, and not letting things, define you. And like staying true to who you are and maintaining your character, because at the end of the day, that's what's most important. And so when we think about our quote unquote frontal lobe being developed, it's kind of like we enable injustice. It's kind of like we enable the world to be cruel and for the cruel people to continue to do what they do, because we have been taught in our minds to kind of just accept and adjust to it. We have been taught in our minds to kind of just go with the flow, and this is how the world is just supposed to be. If you've heard the saying, oh, when your frontal lobe develops, you'll get it, or, when your frontal lobe develops, this and that, you've typically heard that from a parent. You've typically heard that from a mentor, anybody that has like some sort of like authority, a teacher, a parent, mentor, probably older sibling, things like that. And when people say that, they typically have endured some sort of trauma. They typically have endured some sort of injustice, or they have experienced and witnessed just how fucked up the world is. And they typically are saying that to somebody who may remind them of this light and this youthfulness and this innocence and this purity. And it's like they're coming from a place of like taintedness and someone who has experienced immense amount of trauma, somebody who has had to survive in this quote unquote cold world. And it just baffles me, because I've really been reflecting on, if the world wasn't what it was today, if the world was what I just believe it was supposed to be, which is just us just being in nature, utilizing God's materials, really just embracing God's creation of life, the world, each other, us having fun, experiencing one another, helping each other grow vegetables and and fruits and sharing amongst each other, and money's not even a thing. Nobody has even thought about it. Like we're trading like how they used to trade, or we're just giving supply for supply, or we're working and we're getting things in return for the work. Those type of things where we're just generally happy, where we're just generally joyful, where we're just generally just like enjoying having a human experience, where we're enjoying each other's company and connection and soul tribes and loving and those type of things. Living in a world like that, I just truly feel like your frontal lobe developing would not be something that's even considered, because we would all still be operating in a place of purity. We would all still be operating in a place of just innocence, and we would all still have our light. But then within that, I just wonder if that's true, because there's always going to be light and dark, good and bad, But I do feel like bad comes from experience. Bad comes from taught behavior. Bad comes from just life. And if you're not exposed to anything that could potentially trigger you or set you off, then you're just living a joyful, happy, innocent life. Every person that was tempted had to have once been innocent. Every person that has experienced this cold, cold world has had to survive. And before that, I'm sure that they were also nice, good people. And this is also me speaking from experience, because as I tell y'all, I have gone through immense amount of trauma. That's what this podcast is mostly about. Me just sharing my trauma, and me also expressing how I have been tainted, how I have been changed. I still think that I'm full of life. I still think that I have purity and innocence, and that I'm just a breath of fresh air, very much so. But I also feel like life has took its toll on me. Life has had its way with me, and I had to endure a lot. And it has changed me. It would change anybody who has gone through half of the shit that I did. But before that, I was very innocent. I was very naive. And I was one of the ones that was told that shit to. Like, when your frontal lobe develop, when you get older, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you're gonna know. And I just feel like that just wouldn't be said. Like, you have these scientists that tell you like, oh, your brain develops at this age. Would that still even be a thing if we didn't live in this like corrupt, tyrant, just fucked up place where you have all these people telling you like, you're going to grow up to basically work in corporate. You're going to grow up to be in the matrix. You're going to grow up to do this, and you have to learn this. And don't worry about history that's not correct. Don't worry about history that's not in your textbooks. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about how the sky may be green and we told you that it's blue. Don't worry about right possibly being left and left being right. Don't worry about that. Just like listen to what we're telling you, because we're telling you everything. And then you get raised in that world where you've been brainwashed and you've been taught everything that you know up until now, and basically you're being taught to endure. You're being taught to settle. You're being taught to just accept what's being thrown in your face. You're being taught to just believe what the scientists say and what the FDA say and all these other things, even when you feel like something is wrong. It's not right that we have to wait till we get older and our brain to fully develop to really see how fucked up it is. You don't need to wait until you hit a certain age to see how fucked up the world is, for one. Like, you can just go through things. I think that experience is the biggest teacher. It's not always age, because age really is just a number. When it comes to certain things, that's circumstantial. That's circumstantial. I'm only saying that in regards to my point. Please. I just had to make that clear. Like, this ain't none of that other shit. Like, age is nothing but a number when it comes to what I'm talking about. But in a sense, it is true because experience has taught me more than my age has. Experience has helped raise me more than I have been raised. I knew more shit about life before I was quote unquote 25 and when my brain fully developed. Now, I won't say that, being this age, I haven't learned more and I haven't matured a little bit more and I haven't I won't lie, but I do feel like that's more so experience based and trauma based and less to do with age. And that's just for one. But for two, why is that okay? Why is it okay to have to struggle, to have to survive, to have to see how fucked up the world is? And why is it bad if you're innocent and you're pure? It's like other people have to shit on you and they have to talk down because it's like an inner projection. Like, oh, I still see you're somebody who has light. I still see that you're innocent. I still see that you're oblivious and naive. Let's ruin that for you. But that also leads me to another topic of why is it bad to be naive? Why is it bad to be oblivious and innocent? I think it's only bad because of the environment that we're in. I think it's only bad because we're in a corrupt state of mind and a corrupt place in general. I think it's only bad because we have evilness surrounding us. But other than that, wouldn't we all be innocent? Wouldn't we all be a little naive and oblivious to things? Because we would not have anything to, I guess, be oblivious to. If we were living in a world where we didn't have to worry about all of the shit that we have to worry about now. I think we all would be innocent. I think we all would be a little oblivious. I think we all would just be a little free, a little off. And we would accept each other for that. The world, society shames us for being different, for being bubbly, for being individuals, for being innocent, for being kind. It just makes you seem like you're weird and you're different because you don't look like the rest of the world. The rest of the world is gray and gloomy. And because you're bright with bright colors and bright ideas and have a strong aura, you're looked at like you're the opposition. But you're not. You're just not conforming to what this world is trying to force on you, which is to be miserable and to just accept information and to just be okay with this place being horrible. And I think that that's the bigger message of it all, is that we are taught to basically conform. That's what that saying means to me. It makes me feel like we are using that as a defense mechanism to cope with the fact that this world is evil and corrupt and we're all just living in it. We all have been raised in it. We all have learned things from the people that are just as corrupt and evil. And it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot that we have already endured since birth. The cartoons that we watched and the prices of everything and the dictatorships and the people that are making it hard for working class and the people who are oppressed, like just having to go through that and then being raised in that and being taught that this is the way, this is okay, and that this is the way and this is how you should live. And when you get to a certain age, you'll see how it is. That's not fair. It's not fair and it's not right for us to just have to conform, for us to just have to accept, for us to just have to adjust to their type of living, to their type of life that we were never supposed to live in the first place. There is nothing wrong with being innocent. There is nothing wrong with having a zest for life. There is nothing wrong with loving life and appreciating nature and hugging trees and shit. Like, they make you seem like it's something wrong with you. I am one of them motherfuckers that hug the trees and that talk to the sky and that says, hello, Mother Nature. Hello, Mother Gaia. I am one of them ones because I have an appreciation for life. I still hold on to part of my innocence because it just seems like the rest of the world is so okay with letting it go. A lot of the world has conformed. And in a lot of ways, this might be an extension to the last episode now that I'm thinking about it, because it's like the corruption just follows you. The corruption follows you, and the world wants you to conform. The world wants you to accept it. And I know that this is getting pretty deep from a phrase or a saying, but if you really think about why that's being said, I think you would agree. Like, why is it okay to tell a child that as they're getting ready to start their life? Why is it okay to bombard somebody with those type of things just because they're happy and living life? It always gave backhanded. It always gave patronizing. Like, oh, I'm happy and I'm living my life. And it's, oh, you gonna learn one day. You're gonna see how cold the world is. Your frontal lobe is gonna develop and you're gonna figure it out. That's not okay. Because that basically translates to, oh, you're going to see how much you're going to have to struggle. You're going to see how the world is rigged to make you struggle and to oppress you, and how you're going to have to survive and be forced into hustle culture and get in corporate. And then fast forward to 2026, where the job market is trash. Over 100,000 women, black women, have been terminated from their jobs. How they're making it a law for degrees that are mostly women related fields to not even be considered real degrees or certificates anymore. And you having to just accept that because you're 25 now and your frontal lobe has developed, and you have to see how fucked up the world is. And it's just stupid because, like I said, I knew how fucked up the world was before I was this age. It doesn't take a rocket science. But what they want you to do is they want you to conform. They want you to stop smiling so much. They want you to stop being so innocent. They want you to stop being so bubbly. They want to take away your light. It's like the entire world is like a blackout, and you have a light. I have a light, and we shine. And the rest of the world, they're confused because it's like we blacked out. We conformed. We accepted. We adapted. We didn't ask questions. And that has always been the problem. Why is nobody asking these questions? Why are we being taught by scientists about the brain? And that makes me think about science too. I already have my theories and ideologies about that, y'all. But that's another episode. You know, I always tell y'all it's another episode because I could really get into multiple topics in one. I feel like I'm doing that already, but not too deep, not too deep. But if we start talking about that, then why are the scientists having to learn about our brain and our frontal lobe developing? Why are they having to learn about that? Is it because of our environment? Because we don't just mature. It's not just about maturing when you get to a certain age. It's not just about that. I'm not saying that it's completely wrong because, like I said, as I have reached the age of 25, like, things have shifted, things have changed. Like, this is true. That's some of it. I do believe that if the world wasn't what it was, by the time a lot of us got 25, like, some of us would, I guess, mature a little bit, quote unquote, grow up a little bit. But then that statement is still somewhat inaccurate because you got grown men that's still acting like they 14. And that might relate to arrested development and less to do with frontal lobe development. But I think those two might go hand in hand. I'm not a scientist, though. I do love psychology. I do love psychology, though. But yeah, I just wonder, y'all. Like, I just wonder what our brain chemistries would be like if we would say the same terms that we say now, if just things would be completely different if the world was just not what it is today, basically. And we are sitting here and we're being taught these things since birth, since adolescence, and we're just supposed to conform and accept it and apply. But I don't fucking think so. I don't think so. So that's just my random reflection thought for the week. It's something that's been on my mind for a couple days, and I just wanted to like get y'all opinion on it because when I hear that saying, it's just always been something that was negative. It's always been something that it's just like, it's like you being snatched from a daydream. That's what it reminds me of. Like, frontal lobe development is like you being snatched from your own daydream and having to, quote unquote, come to terms with reality. But are you really coming to terms with reality, or are you coming to terms with the fact that this world is fucked up and corrupt? Because your reality doesn't have to be corrupt. Our reality didn't have to be corrupt. So yeah, some food for thought, some food for thoughts. But y'all, I swear when I make these episodes, I really just need to calm the fuck down, because I promise sometimes I listen back to these episodes and I be like, y'all would never believe me if I told y'all I was an English major. Maybe y'all would, maybe y'all wouldn't, but I just hear so many grammatical errors and it really irritates me. Like when I say term instead of phrase or saying, or I think in this episode I said scientists when I really meant like people who just study the brain, or psychologists or people in that nature. Like, y'all, I don't know. But that's why I said, y'all, season 1 season 1 is just authentic and me just being unapologetically me. Like, I'm not on here to be perfect. I'm just on here to just give y'all some food for thoughts and to, trauma dump. So take me as I am, y'all. Take me as I am. But that is the episode. Thank y'all so much for joining me. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. And please buckle y'all seatbelts, because the next episode will be about my father. So love that. Yes, I do know him. You never really know anybody, But thank y'all so much. Until next time.